Hello and welcome along to Mondo Chelloveck Movies. My name is John, and this video is going to be my follow-up video to the one I made in January concerning when I've been diagnosed for having multiple sclerosis. So this is going to be an update. It's going to tell you where I am now and how I've sort of navigated the past, few months. So I'll link down below in the description my previous video if you want to go and check that out. That was me talking about when I first initially found out about it. Talked about how I led up to get my diagnosis and where I thought I was going to be moving forward. And I remain positive, as I did on that video, about where I'm going in the future. So since I made that video in January, which is still getting views and still getting great comments on it, I want to thank everybody who took the time out to comment on it. So initially, after seeing a specialist in January, he set my mind at rest actually because I had a good chat with him and he explained to me what MS means today. I had a very different idea of what MS was to what it actually is. I'll get more into that later on. So on the letter I received on my last meeting with the specialist, it said the diagnosis was relapsing remitting MS, which was January 2024. Current DMT, Tecfidera, February 2024. More about that in a minute. Last MRI scan, September 2024. Relapses, October 2023. Sensory disturbance, left side of face and mouth with facial weakness. That was when I thought I had Bell's palsy. It just happened overnight. I went, had a scan, had the MRI scan, and it found out, unfortunately, I had MS, which in a way was a good thing because now I'm going to be treated for it rather than just going on and it might have actually caused serious problems down the line. And it could have done. Previous episodes of eye movement disorder several years ago, further episode of blurring of vision in one eye for several weeks. 2011, a definite transverse myelitis up to T6, which means numbness, which went up to about here, from like all my body to there. And then it went back down again, which I talked about in my previous video. And ataxic syndrome, which that's the first time I'm hearing about that. More about that in a minute. Sensory disturbance in both hands, that's numbness when I thought it was carpal tunnel syndrome. He says, yes, you probably did the carpals, he said, but the numbness in your hands was definitely MS. Supporting investigations, MRI scan of brain and spinal cord, numerous demyelinating lesions. What a mouthful. So what I want to say first of all is I couldn't receive better care from all the professionals that have dealt with me since I went in January. They have been amazing. I have a hotline to them straight away. If I want anything from them, they will get me sorted immediately. I can't fault them at all. And I've been to see the specialist twice now, and he has set my mind at rest as to where we're going to go forward. So as somebody who very rarely goes to the doctor, this has been a bit of a culture shock for me. I initially thought it would be really hard to get the things that I wanted or the things that I needed, but I couldn't have been further from the truth. Everything that was happening to me was always, everyone's getting in contact with us. I've got letters, I've got dates, and it's always been through the NHS app. It has been just laid out for me, so I couldn't have asked for better treatment and better care from everybody involved. So I want to say that first of all, if you yourself are coming across MS for the first time and you are worried about the system, the care system looking after you, where you don't need to worry at all, they will do everything above and beyond for you. And you don't have to worry about that side at all. If you need to get in touch with anybody, they are there instantly. You pick the phone up, have your conversation with them. They'll either answer you or they'll get somebody to answer you. You'll get a phone back. So you don't have to worry about that at all. The main thing about this going into it is you do have worry because you don't know what's ahead. I mean, I'm positive. I'm thinking positive all the time. But there's been a few hiccups along the way when you think there's certain things where you think, how am I going to navigate this particular thing, which I'll get into. But the main thing with the healthcare professionals, you don't have to worry at all. Everything is laid out for you, and they are there to make sure you are going to get the best treatment available. So that brings me on to my tablets. So initially, the specialist thought there was no need for me to go on medication. But then he got back in touch with us maybe a month later and he said he'd reviewed the case and he said he would like me to go on medication. Again, I went to the MS nurses and I was given all the choices for medication. And I chose one which I thought was going to be the best for me. It was Tecfidera. This is tablets you take one in the morning and one in the evening. That was all right, I thought. The only problem is it's got a side effect that makes you go bright red, and I mean you go bright red. But it was getting a bit better on Tecfidera. However, I went on to another version of it, which is the same stuff, which is, if I can pronounce this, dimethyl fumarate. And I went on to this stuff, which is the same stuff, but it's a different brand. And I've got to say that I went red a lot more with this one, and the redness was much worse than the Tecfidera. And I know that's a thing. There's plenty of videos on here talking about Tecfidera. The only problem I had with it, if I took my tablet in the morning, it wasn't guaranteed if I went red straight away. I could take it right early in the morning. It could have happened any time during the day. And then sometimes if I'm taking it and it goes, I get a redness right at the end of the night, I don't want to take my other tablet because I will go much more red. So it was a bit of a hard thing to navigate, but I tried my best. And when I went to see the specialist this time around, I said to him, he said, "How's your tablets going?" And I said, "Well, if I'm honest," I said, "I'm going red quite a lot." And he says, "How many times a day? How many times a week? Or a month? A couple of times?" I said, "No, it's about 3 to 4 times a week. But I can't guess when it's going to happen." And he said, "These aren't working out for you. We'll get you onto somewhere else," which I'll come on to in a minute. What I'm saying, if you get the first time you get, if you've got MS for the first time, or you're hearing about for the first time, and you get, there is this tablet. Now, I'm not saying it's a bad tablet, it had no other side effects apart from the redness, but to be honest, would you like to be walking around going bright red? Now, if you go somewhere, in my eyes, if you go somewhere and you are then start to go bright, and I mean bright red, people say, "What's the matter with you?" And you say, "Oh, there's nothing the matter with us." And you'd say, "Well, that absolutely there is. I can see it." People think there's something, you're coming down with something, you're going to keel over. And I can understand that. And it's hard to say to people, "No, I'm perfectly all right. I'm just bright red. It's a side effect of medication." And then again, you've got to tell people, that person, you have to tell them, "Oh, by the way, I've got MS." And you don't want to, sometimes you just don't want to say it. You just want to keep it to yourself. Maybe it might be somebody just saying, in a shop or something like that. You don't really want to be saying it all the time. But anyway, this is what happened to me. So if you're getting this and you start this one, it might agree with you. It might be the best thing you've ever had in your life. And what the thing is, when someone says, "Are your tablets working?" There's no way you can know if they're working or not. Basically, they're there to stop you having another flare up. And by flare up, I mean you have another episode, maybe numbness, maybe vision problem, maybe mobility, maybe speech. More about that in a minute. So the specialist said, "We're going to give you an infusion now," which is one of these. I get these once every 6 months, although the first one I'll have to get spaced out, a half dose and a half dose, 2 weeks apart. They don't give you the full dose immediately. And then 6 months I'll go back. And the best thing about this is you don't get the redness. You might get some other side effects, but I think the redness is one of the worst ones just because everybody can see it and people think there's something up with you. They think you're going to pass out and you say there's nothing the matter with us. But you certainly look like there's something the matter with us. Well, I did anyway. So the best thing about this treatment I'm getting now is it's going to be, you get it, you go in, it's going to be for 2 hours. Now, originally I thought it was going to be something that was going to last for hours and hours, and I think it was. But he said that the treatment's moving that fast that the initial one, even when I was talking to him in January, was going to be quite a large infusion. He said, "We'll cut the time down because it's just getting better. Everything's getting better." So if you're worried about the medication, I think that you don't need to worry. Yes, maybe Tecfidera isn't for everybody, or it might be for you. But if it's not for you, you can go back to your MS nurse and say, "Look, this really isn't working out for me." So initially, when you see the MS nurses, they do give you a choice of having any medication that you want, or saying there's some that they don't really think are good. Actually, another part of the Tecfidera was that there was a low count on some of my blood cells. There was something to do with them. I can't remember what they're called. Lymphocytes, I think. They were low for the Alzheimer's on them. So he wanted us off that for that as well. He said, "I don't like the fact that they are low." So that was another reason to come off. So this is why I'm trying this one. So the main thing about that is when you go to the MS nurse and you talk to them about what you want to take, you can pick what you want. They would obviously say to you if there's some, if you had some blood thing or whatever, and they might say no, would advise you not to take that one. But you can pick anything you want. If it doesn't work for you, you don't have to stick onto it and say, "Oh my God, I'm going to be ready for the rest of my life. And I've got to really be mindful of when I take my tablets or what I do after I take my tablets." Sometimes I was ditching going places directly after I took my tablets. I would rather take them when I was in the house. And that sometimes meant that I was missing some because I hadn't got the time between them to take them. So they're a bit of a hard thing to navigate them. So I'm hoping, although I haven't had it yet, that this is going to be the way forward when it comes to just keeping the wolf at the door. So also as well, in my first meeting, I was given a handbook that told you all about MS and what it was all about. And a part of that was to say what you could actually get, in way of benefits and stuff like that. And by benefits, I mean things like travel cards, where you can get reduced rates on your rail fares, which everybody needs at this point. And if you can get them, because we travel quite a lot on the rail circuit. down to London and back. That every little helps, isn't it? Now, what I will say as well, that's something I have to look into. The reason why I haven't done that is because I spend quite a large amount of time, and if this happens to you, I urge you to be on the ball with it. If you've got anything to do with life insurance, which I had, I put in for it immediately after I got this diagnosis, and it took me 8 months to get it. Now, the main thing about that is because the people who were dealing with it, the company that we're dealing with, were absolutely hopeless. And what they did was they sent stuff backwards and forwards to the GP and also to the specialist. They would stay asking the same question all the time, and it was a wrong question. So I was on the phone to them all the time. Now I'm urging you, if you're in the same boat and you want to put some life insurance in, do think about the fact that they're just not very good, and they will probably drag their feet as long as they can. It's supposed to be dealt with in about 3 months. It was 8 months, and that was only because I was on the back all the time, and I was phoning them up immediately. And I went to the GPs and says, right, where are you? I went to the specialist and said, where are you? And he said, we sent everything to them, same as a GP. So everything was sent, and then I had to think to say, right, you've got everything. There's nothing more you can ask for. And they were still questioning stuff. So be on their backs, because there is no way that they're going to give you that. Just hand it over. It's your money, you're paid into it. And in the end, it's great to get that because it's a weight off your shoulders. But do know, as I'm talking all positives about all the people I've been involved with the professional side and the medical side, these people, when you're trying to claim things, they are absolutely hopeless. So be aware of that, but do know it works out in the end. So the other thing I just spotted on that letter was, like I said, ataxia. Now here it says, what is ataxia? Ataxia is a medical term for a lack of voluntary coordination of muscle movements in MS. This can be seen as clumsiness, unsteady gait, impaired eye and limb movements, and speech problems. In some cases, the lack of coordination is seen as a tremor. Don't get any of that. Treatment can involve exercises to build up core stability and strengthening muscles and finding ways to reduce the effect of the symptom. So for me, the main thing about that is because when I go to the doctor and he says, how are you? How is your life? What do you do? Do you notice anything? What is the things that come to your mind? Now, I will say to him, and I do say to a lot of people I've talked about this, just privately, that when I'm making YouTube videos, the main thing I can see is that I'm having, as you can see, there's a lot of edits in this video. You can see how I'm editing this video because there's a lot of times when I feel like I get the words wrong. Now, it's funny because when you do these videos, you kind of get in your head where you're going to go with it, and you just sort of blurt it out. Now that used to be dead easy. Now it seems to be getting harder, not massively harder. I can still have massive conversation with people, but I do feel like I do miss out longer words, bigger words. I do think that when I'm tired, I'll get more to that in a minute. When I'm tired, it seems to be worse. It seems to be a case of you're slurring your words a lot more than you would do normally. Now, this is something I wouldn't say it's worrying, but it's noticeable to me. And I do try not to do, if I make videos and I know they're not going to work, I just don't make a video. So that's why it will get gaps in videos. And that's just unfortunate, but it's the way it is. I can't do anything about it. But I know that sometimes when I'm not tired, I have a much better experience making the video. I can kind of just, crack on with it, and it's not a problem. And there's not that many edits in the video. If you watch a video of mine and you see edits in it a lot, you will know on that day I was having problems with the slurring. Now, the slurring, I hope that it doesn't get any worse, and sometimes it doesn't happen for a bit. It may, like I say, in the morning, if I get up and I'm tired and I do a video in the morning like I like to, it will make that the sort of speech thing will become an issue, and it gets frustrating. And I do think that when I'm out and about and I'm just talking and stuff like that, I don't really take out any big words to sort of say straight away. It's a bit of a it's not a worry for me because I don't consider any of this a worry. It could be much worse for me, and I just got to thank my blessings that I've been caught at this time, and I'm not going to hopefully progress. That was a great thing that the doctor said it was the other day was that what he wants to do with us, with me, he wants to keep me on this level. He says, because when you get to the age of 60, I'm 56 at the minute, the instances of relapse seem to drop off when you're 60. He doesn't really know why this is. He just seems to think but it's not a thing that most people over 60 do get this relapse. I will stop with the medication forever. That's not a problem. But hopefully, if I can keep myself ticking over and not get any worse, I think this has been a thing that's been happening to me for a little bit, the tiredness, especially. And I didn't know, you just think you're tired. I mean, everyone's tired, but I think that this tired is fatigue. Now, fatigue is different to tiredness, which I'll finish on with the fatigue. And so this ataxia is something that's, it's there. I'm not going to say that I haven't got it, because I did say to him, I said, sometimes I do slur my words when I'm making videos because I'm aware of it, because when I'm looking back on them, I can see the times, the instances when I'm saying these things and they're hard to get out, these words. That's why some of these big long words don't get said on my channel. Unfortunately, I'd like it to be a different way, because obviously with making videos, when you speak a lot and you want to be eloquent and you don't want to have problems with your speech. But it is what it is. You've got to accept these things. You can't ever think you're going to say, oh my God, this is the end of the world. Because it's not the end of the world at all. It's just a hobby that I really enjoy. And I do know that sometimes maybe I can't make a video. I couldn't make a video sometimes because it's bright red. Sometimes I'm tired, I'm slurring. So that means that I just put the video on the back burner and then take it to another time when I can actually do that. Not to end on a negative, but the I would say the main thing that's happened to me in my physicality from the time I found out about this, but I can say, I'm looking back on this, I've spoke about this before to like my friends and family, and said that the tiredness, or so let's say fatigue, is one of the main things, the top thing you can say about that people find out about MS is fatigue. And it's kind of like, I'm trying to describe what it's like. It's, when you've done something that's really tiring, like you say, you've walked up a hill and you come back again, you think, right, I'm beat here. And then you go and sort of sit down because you've done something that you don't usually do. And you just flake out more, for want of a better word. It feels a bit like that. And sometimes you can say in a day, you've not really done that much physically, or you might have done them. I think actually when you do stuff mentally, it's a lot worse for you, because it's actually, the doctor said to us, and he was joking about this, he's a great guy and we get on great. He had said that think of yourself a bit like an old iPhone that doesn't charge up properly. You need that bit of extra charging up. People, young people or other people, have this brand new iPhone. You are this older iPhone that needs this extra charge up, this longer charge up, and actually needs, when it gets, overloaded, it doesn't work as well. So he says, think of yourself as that. And I says, oh, well, so I'm an old iPhone. He says, yes, you are. So for me to reduce the tightness, don't take too much on. And if you've done a lot of stuff and you feel it in that day, you've got to just literally sit and do nothing for that day, then just take that day out. Do that, because if you start to kind of burn the candle at both ends by saying, oh, well, I'm money off, I'm going to do something today because I wanted to get this stuff done, and you feel tired, just don't do it. Just leave it. It can be done another day. There's no point in doing that, because you'll never get that. You need to get your batteries recharged, your iPhone 6 recharged, don't you? And hopefully that'll make you more fresher to go and do other things. But I think that's as well, don't try and think of too many things. Don't try and do too many things, because when you can get a thing here, it's on about brainfall, which means when you get like an overload of things going on, you can't think straight. And I can agree with that one. Sometimes when there's that much stuff going on, and then you stop to think, you stop to just sit down, you're just absolutely fatigued, and you've not done anything. You've just thought about that much stuff. So that's about it for now. I'll probably come back in about 6 months' time and tell you exactly how this affected us. Hopefully not at all. And I'll tell you about what I thought about the procedures, how you go through this, and what I actually thought of the whole deal about that one. So to recap, if you've been recently diagnosed with MS, you will know that you will get the best help you can from the consultant and all the MS nurses. They are absolutely brilliant. I cannot fault them at all. I do think that the GP has been brilliant working in tandem with the consultant and the MS nurses. You do have the way to get in touch with them straight away, and they will answer all your problems if you've got any, and they can help you with your medication. And don't think if you've got a bad medication that doesn't agree with you, you have to stick on it. You can move on to another one. Maybe this one doesn't work for me, and then I can move on to another one. There's loads and loads of medications out there. So what the professionals are trying to do is to try to stop your MS moving on in any way, shape, or form. They're trying to keep it exactly where it is. It'll not get any better, but what they're trying to do is for you not to have any more relapses, and they reckon this medication is great for that. And hopefully for me, they can keep me ticking over till I reach 60, and then I've got a lot less chance of having a relapse. Now, hopefully, if there's any relapses happen, they just go away like they have in the past. I've had them, but I've just got over them. And I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that is going to happen moving forward. But I do think with the help of everybody and also the support of everybody on here, my friends and family who have been massively supportive, and friends, it's just amazing the amount of people who've wished me well on this. And it's brilliant. And I just can't thank you all enough for doing that for me, for watching that previous video, for watching this video, and hopefully somebody who doesn't even know us from Adam, if you're in the sort of mindset of MS and you're thinking, oh my God, what's this? Like I was when I originally got sort of like the word was to say you might have this. Talk about you will come crashing down. But when you sort of dust yourself off and you think about the code light a day and you get all the help and all the great advice from your health care team, you will know that there's a way around this with all the things that have got in place. There's a myriad of things that can do for you. So hopefully that has helped somebody out. And like I say, thank you everybody for watching this video and obviously for wishing me well over the past few months. So moving forwards, positive mindset, and thanks once again for watching. You take care, and I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.